13 years old, a bright smile, a life full of promise. This is Nazia Harris. But on January 9th, 2024, Nazia vanished, gone without a trace. It was an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. Nazia, like always, took the bus home from school. She stepped off at the corner of Cornwall and 3 Mile Drive, just a short walk from her house. But she never made it. Her family waited. Dinner grew cold. Worry turned to panic. Where was Nazia? The news spread like wildfire. A 13-year-old girl missing in Detroit. Police launched an investigation. Search parties combed the neighborhood. Days turned into weeks, and still, no sign of Nazia. Annetta Harris, Nazia's grandmother and adoptive mother, remembers that day vividly. The emptiness in her home, the unanswered questions that haunted her every waking moment. "She was my everything," Annette said. "My sweet girl. I just want her home." Shannon Harris, Nazia's aunt, shared a close bond with the young girl. They were more like sisters, sharing secrets and dreams. But Shannon was also in a relationship with a man named Jarvis Butts, a man who would soon become a central figure in this heartbreaking mystery. As the search for Nazia intensified, investigators began to uncover a disturbing web of secrets, hidden relationships, and unsettling clues. What happened to Nazia Harris? Was she simply a runaway, or had something far more sinister occurred? The answers, as we would soon discover, were more shocking than anyone could have imagined. In the wake of Nazia's disappearance, one man stepped forward, seemingly eager to offer support and assistance: Jarvis Butts. The father of 5 children with Nazia's aunt Shannon, he was a constant presence in their lives. He was often at their home, helping with the kids and always ready with a smile. He was, to all appearances, a dedicated family man. In the chaotic days following Nazia's disappearance, Butts was a visible source of comfort. He joined search parties, tirelessly combing the streets alongside neighbors and volunteers. He held Shannon close, whispering reassurances. He even faced the cameras, his voice filled with concern as he pleaded for Nazia's safe return. He presented himself as a man broken by worry, desperate to find his missing niece. But beneath this carefully constructed image of the concerned uncle, a darker reality was taking shape. Investigators, meticulously piecing together the fragments of Nazia's life, uncovered a hidden digital trail. A series of text messages exchanged between Nazia and Jarvis Butts revealed a deeply disturbing and inappropriate relationship. The digital trail didn't end there. A deep dive into Butts' online activity revealed a series of searches that sent chills down the spines of investigators. Searches related to pregnancy termination, DIY abortion methods, and even disturbing inquiries about dangerous chemicals painted a grim picture of a man with something to hide. The investigation took a sharp turn when 2 of Nazia's young cousins, brave beyond their years, stepped forward with their own harrowing accounts. In hushed tones, they recounted instances of witnessing Butts behaving inappropriately with Nazia, exploiting her youth and trust. Their testimony painted a picture of a predator hiding in plain sight. Armed with this new information and the growing digital evidence, detectives brought Jarvis Butts in for questioning. His once helpful demeanor crumbled under the weight of the accusations. His story, riddled with inconsistencies and evasive answers, began to unravel. He couldn't provide a credible alibi for his whereabouts on the night Nazia vanished, and his denials grew increasingly desperate. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, forming a disturbing picture of what might have happened to Nazia. Her belongings, found discarded in a secluded wooded area, told a story of a struggle, of a desperate attempt to escape. Phone records placed Butts in the vicinity of the discarded items, further tightening the net of suspicion. An Emoto receipt confirmed his presence at a location far from where he claimed to be on the night Nazia disappeared. The evidence was mounting, the suspicions growing stronger. But with one crucial piece still missing: Nazia's body, the question remained, could prosecutors build a strong enough case to bring Jarvis Butts to justice? Or would the absence of a body allow him to escape the consequences of his alleged crimes? With Jarvis Butts firmly in the crosshairs of suspicion, the investigation into Nazia's disappearance intensified. But the lack of a body presented a formidable challenge. Could they build a case strong enough to secure a conviction without the most crucial piece of evidence? The answer, investigators knew, lay in meticulous forensic work, painstakingly piecing together the fragments of a shattered life. The search for Nazia became a race against time. Every passing day diminished the chances of finding her remains, and with it, the possibility of uncovering crucial evidence. Teams of investigators, guided by cadavered dogs and equipped with the latest forensic technology, scoured the areas where Butts' phone records placed him on the night of Nazia's disappearance. The discovery of Nazia's discarded belongings, her backpack, her school books, her red and black Nike gym shoes, provided a crucial breakthrough. Found in a secluded wooded area near the Rouge River, these items bore witness to a desperate struggle. Forensic analysis revealed traces of DNA fibers and soil that linked Butts to the scene. In cases like this, where the victim's body is missing, every piece of evidence becomes critical, explains Detective, a veteran homicide investigator. We have to rely on forensic science, witness testimony, and digital evidence to paint a picture of what happened. Painstakingly, investigators reconstructed the timeline of Nazia's last known movements. Security camera footage captured her getting off the school bus, her face full of youthful energy. Phone records showed a flurry of messages between her and Butts, culminating in a final text sent just minutes before she vanished. Witness accounts placed her in Butts' company that afternoon, their last known encounter. The motel receipt found in Butts' possession placed him at a seedy establishment on the outskirts of Detroit on the night Nazia disappeared. Investigators descended upon the motel, searching for any trace of Nazia's presence. Though no definitive physical evidence was found, the motel stay itself raised troubling questions. Why was Butts there? Who was he with? And what was he trying to hide? The motel stay was a significant red flag, says Detective. It contradicted Butts' initial statements and placed him in a location that aligned with other evidence we had gathered. As the net tightened, Jarvis Butts maintained his innocence. He denied any involvement in Nazia's disappearance, claiming he was simply trying to help find his missing niece. But the mounting evidence, the inconsistencies in his story, and the chilling digital trail painted a different picture. After months of painstaking investigation and agonizing anticipation, the day of reckoning finally arrived. Jarvis Butts, the man accused of taking Nazia Harris's life, stood trial for her murder. The courtroom, heavy with tension and grief, became a battleground for truth and justice. The prosecution, led by the determined assistant prosecutor, laid out their case with meticulous detail. They painted a picture of a man who had abused his position of trust, manipulating and exploiting a vulnerable young girl. They presented a mountain of evidence: the chilling text messages, the disturbing internet searches, the witness testimonies that placed Butts with Nazia on the day she vanished, and the forensic evidence linking him to the location where her belongings were found. Nazia's grandmother, Annette Harris, delivered a heart-wrenching testimony, her voice trembling with emotion, as she described the devastating impact of Nazia's disappearance. "She was my sunshine," she said, tears streaming down her face. "He took her from me. He took my everything." Nazia's young cousins, their voices barely above a whisper, bravely recounted their encounters with Jarvis Butts. They described his inappropriate behavior, his attempts to isolate Nazia, and the fear they felt in his presence. Their testimonies, though difficult to hear, provided crucial corroboration of the prosecution's case. Forensic experts meticulously detailed the evidence collected from the scene where Nazia's belongings were found. DNA analysis, fiber comparisons, and soil samples all pointed towards Jarvis Butts' involvement. The experts explained the science behind their findings, leaving no doubt in the minds of the jury that Nazia had been in Butts' presence. The defense, led by the seasoned attorney, mounted a vigorous defense. They attempted to poke holes in the prosecution's case, suggesting alternative explanations for the evidence and questioning the credibility of witnesses. They argued that the lack of a body raised reasonable doubt about Nazia's fate, suggesting she may have run away or met with an unknown assailant. As the trial drew to a close, both sides delivered passionate closing arguments. The prosecution emphasized the overwhelming evidence against Butts, urging the jury to deliver justice for Nazia. The defense, in turn, pleaded for a verdict of not guilty, emphasizing the lack of a body and the possibility of alternative scenarios. The jury, tasked with deciding the fate of Jarvis Butts, faced a daunting challenge. Could they, in the absence of a body, find him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? Was the evidence presented enough to convict him of this heinous crime? If you're finding this story as gripping and important as we do, and you want to stay informed about true crime cases like Nazia's, make sure you've hit that subscribe button. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know when we release new documentaries, investigations, and updates on cases that deserve our attention. And don't forget to leave a comment below. We want to hear your thoughts on this case. What questions do you have? What are your theories? Let's discuss it together. Join our community of true crime enthusiasts who are passionate about seeking justice and raising awareness. Weeks of testimony, mountains of evidence, and countless hours of deliberation had led to this moment. The fate of Jarvis Butts, and a measure of justice for Nazia Harris, rested in the hands of the jury. Inside the deliberation room, 12 individuals wrestled with the weight of their decision, their voices hushed as they reviewed the evidence, debated the arguments, and searched for the truth. The silence in the courtroom was absolute. Every breath held, every eye fixed on the jury foreman as they stood to deliver the verdict. A single word hung in the air, heavy with consequence: guilty. Jarvis Butts was found guilty of first-degree murder, second-degree criminal sexual conduct, and child sexually abusive activity. The verdict, a resounding declaration of justice for Nazia, brought a wave of emotion through the courtroom. Relief, grief, anger, and a sense of closure mingled in the air. Nazia's family, though still grappling with the immense pain of their loss, expressed gratitude for the verdict. "We finally have justice for Nazia," Annette Harris said, her voice choked with emotion. "But it doesn't bring her back." The case sent shockwaves through the Detroit community, sparking conversations about child safety, the importance of vigilance, and the devastating consequences of abuse. Nazia's story became a rallying cry for change, a reminder that even in seemingly safe environments, danger can lurk. Weeks later, Jarvis Butts stood before the judge to receive his sentence. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, a punishment that reflected the severity of his crimes and the irreversible damage he had caused. Though justice had been served, the void left by Nazia's absence remained. The unanswered questions lingered. Where was her body? What were the final moments of her life like? And how could such a tragedy have been prevented? Even with the verdict, Nazia's story was far from over. The search for her remains continued, fueled by the unwavering hope of bringing her home and providing her with a proper resting place. Even with Jarvis Butts behind bars, the story of Nazia Harris remained unfinished. The verdict brought a sense of justice, a sense of closure, but it couldn't erase the ache of her absence. Nazia was still missing. Her family, her friends, her community were left with an agonizing question: where was she? The search for Nazia's remains continued, fueled by an unwavering determination to bring her home. Volunteers, driven by a shared sense of grief and a desire to help, dedicated countless hours to scouring the areas where Butts had been seen with Nazia. Law enforcement, armed with new leads and advanced technology, expanded their search efforts, leaving no stone unturned. For Nazia's family, the search was more than just a quest for answers. It was a way to honor her memory, to keep her spirit alive, and to find some semblance of peace amidst the overwhelming grief. "We need to bring her home," Annette Harris pleaded, her voice breaking. "She deserves to rest in peace. We deserve to have closure." The impact of Nazia's loss rippled through the community, leaving a deep scar on the hearts of those who knew her and those who had simply been touched by her story. The community rallied around her family, offering support, organizing fundraisers, and keeping her memory alive through vigils and memorials. Nazia, they remembered, was more than just a victim. She was a vibrant young girl with a bright smile, a love for dancing, and dreams of becoming a veterinarian. She was a beloved daughter, granddaughter, niece, and friend. Her absence left a void that could never be filled, but her memory lived on in the hearts of those who loved her. The emotional toll of Nazia's disappearance was immense. Her family and friends struggled with grief, anxiety, and the constant uncertainty surrounding her fate. Support groups and therapy sessions provided a space for healing and shared understanding, but the pain remained a constant companion. Nazia's story served as a stark reminder of the importance of protecting children, of being vigilant against those who might seek to harm them. Her case sparked conversations about child safety, prompting schools and community organizations to implement new programs and initiatives aimed at preventing future tragedies. But amidst the tragedy, there were glimmers of hope. The community's unwavering support, the tireless efforts of law enforcement, and the family's unwavering determination to find Nazia offered a beacon of light in the darkness. In the wake of Nazia's disappearance, the Detroit community responded with an outpouring of support, compassion, and a shared determination to bring her home. Vigils and memorials became spaces for collective mourning, where tears were shed, stories were shared, and the memory of a young life taken too soon was kept alive. Nazia was a bright light in our community, a neighbor shared, her voice thick with emotion. She was always smiling, always willing to lend a helping hand. Her loss has left a hole in our hearts. The search for Nazia became a community-wide effort. Volunteers, driven by a shared sense of purpose, spent countless hours combing through parks, fields, and abandoned buildings, hoping to find any trace of her. Flyers with her picture were posted on every street corner, and social media became a powerful tool for spreading awareness and coordinating search efforts. Nazia's case sparked a renewed focus on child safety and awareness. Community leaders, activists, and child safety organizations joined forces to educate parents and children about the dangers of online predators, the importance of recognizing signs of abuse, and the resources available to victims. Social media played a pivotal role in the search for Nazia. Hashtags like #FindNazia and #JusticeForNazia trended across platforms, amplifying the reach of her story and galvanizing support from across the country. Online communities formed, sharing information, coordinating search efforts, and offering comfort to Nazia's family and friends. In the aftermath of Nazia's disappearance, support groups and counseling services saw a surge in demand. Families, grappling with the fear and uncertainty that the case had brought to the forefront, sought guidance and support. The community recognized the need for increased awareness and resources to help prevent future tragedies and support those affected by abuse. Nazia's case sparked important conversations about the safety of children in the community. Parents voiced concerns about the lack of supervision in certain areas, the prevalence of online predators, and the need for better communication between schools, law enforcement, and families. The community, determined to learn from this tragedy, began implementing new safety measures. Schools increased security, parents became more vigilant, and neighborhoods organized watch groups to keep a closer eye on their children. Nazia's case served as a wake-up call, a reminder that even in seemingly safe communities, danger can lurk and vigilance is paramount. But the case also raised difficult questions. Questions about the systems in place to protect children, the role of social media in both facilitating harm and spreading awareness, and the challenges of prosecuting cases without a body. The guilty verdict delivered a sense of justice, a sense of closure. But it also cast a harsh light on the systems meant to protect children like Nazia. Her case laid bare the cracks in the system, the failures that allowed a predator to operate within a family, a community, undetected. Nazia's case is a tragic reminder that even in seemingly safe environments, children can be at risk, explains Child Advocate's Name, a seasoned advocate for child welfare. We need to do more to identify and support vulnerable children, to provide them with the resources and protection they need to thrive. The investigation into Nazia's disappearance revealed a series of missed opportunities. Warning signs were overlooked, cries for help went unanswered, and systemic challenges hindered the ability of those in a position to help from intervening effectively. In the wake of Nazia's case, calls for change echoed throughout the community. Parents demanded better communication between schools and families, increased resources for child protection agencies, and mandatory training for those working with children to recognize and report signs of abuse. The lack of a body presented significant challenges for the prosecution. Despite the overwhelming circumstantial evidence, the absence of physical remains made it difficult to establish a definitive cause of death and timeline. The case highlighted the need for specialized training and resources for law enforcement and prosecutors handling cases involving missing children. Nazia's case also brought to light the dark side of social media. The same platforms that helped spread awareness and organize search efforts also provided a hunting ground for predators seeking to exploit vulnerable children. The case sparked a debate about the need for increased online safety measures, better parental controls, and greater awareness of the risks associated with social media. Experts stressed the importance of educating children about online safety, teaching them to recognize red flags, and encouraging them to report any suspicious activity to trusted adults. Parents were urged to monitor their children's online activity, set clear boundaries, and have open conversations about the potential dangers lurking in the digital world. The case highlighted the need for increased support for families affected by child abuse and neglect. Support groups, therapy sessions, and advocacy organizations provided a lifeline for those struggling to cope with the trauma and navigate the complexities of the legal system. But in the end, Nazia's story is about more than just a crime, more than just a failure of the system. It's about a young life cut short, a family forever changed, and a community determined to learn from tragedy and create a safer future for its children. Though the shadow of tragedy hangs over Nazia's story, it's important to remember that she was more than just a victim. She was a vibrant young girl full of life, laughter, and dreams for the future. Nazia loved to dance. She dreamed of becoming a veterinarian, caring for animals big and small. She was a bright student, a loyal friend, and a beloved member of her family. Her infectious smile and kind heart touched the lives of everyone she met. Nazia had this incredible laugh, her grandmother, Annette, recalls with a bittersweet smile. It could light up a whole room. She was always so full of joy, always ready with a hug and a kind word. Her aunt, Shannon, remembers Nazia's love for animals. She would bring home stray cats and dogs, nursing them back to health, she shares. She had such a big heart, always wanting to care for those in need. Nazia's legacy extends beyond the tragedy of her disappearance. Her story has sparked important conversations about child safety, online awareness, and the need for stronger support systems for vulnerable children. Her memory has inspired countless acts of kindness, community initiatives, and a renewed commitment to protecting the innocence of children. As schools have implemented new safety protocols, parents have become more vigilant about online predators, and community organizations have expanded their efforts to support families and prevent child abuse. Nazia's story, though heartbreaking, has become a catalyst for positive change. Nazia's spirit lives on in the hearts of those who loved her, in the memories they cherish, and in the positive changes her story has inspired. Her life, though tragically cut short, has left an enduring legacy of love, compassion, and a commitment to creating a safer world for children. And as we remember Nazia, we must also remember. The story of Nazia Harris is a story of profound loss, a story that shook a community to its core. But it's also a story of resilience, of a community coming together to seek justice, to heal, and to create a safer future for its children. Nazia's case serves as a powerful reminder that vigilance is key. We must all be aware of the signs of abuse, the dangers that lurk both online and in our own communities. We must empower children to speak up, to seek help when they need it, and to know that they are not alone. It takes a village to protect a child, says community leader, a passionate advocate for child safety. We all have a role to play in creating a safe and supportive environment for our children. We need to work together, parents, educators, law enforcement, and community members, to ensure that no child suffers in silence. For those who have experienced abuse or know someone who has, there is help available. Reach out to trusted adults, seek professional counseling, and utilize the resources available in your community. You are not alone. Nazia's legacy lives on in the hearts of those who loved her, in the changes her story has inspired, and in the ongoing efforts to protect children from harm. Her memory serves as a constant reminder of the importance of vigilance, community support, and unwavering dedication to seeking justice for victims. As we remember Nazia, let us honor her legacy by working together to create a world where all children are safe, loved, and protected. Let us be their voices, their advocates, and their guardians. Let us never forget the lessons learned from her story and continue to strive for a brighter future, where every child has the chance to live a life free from fear and harm. Thank you for joining us on this journey to uncover the truth about Nazia Harris's disappearance. If this story has touched you, moved you, or angered you, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and share it with your friends and family. Spread the word, keep the conversation going, and let's work together to raise awareness about child safety, support victims of abuse, and work towards a world where tragedies like this are prevented. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any of our future true crime documentaries. We're committed to bringing you compelling stories, in-depth investigations, and a voice for those who deserve justice. If you or someone you know needs help, please reach out. You are not alone.